Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am here with Helen Kish. She is an amazing doll artist that actually lives here in Denver, Colorado. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with us today and being here at the virtual doll convention. And
delighted.
In our doll shop. It's wonderful to see you.
It's great to be back.
We just saw you back in October where we had a big event with Robert, and that was really fun. And we were leading up to the release, the Christmas release of our sweet doll. This is a new sculpt that you did for us. Would you tell our friends out there on the internet about this sweet girl?
Okay. Well, she's called the Little Flower, and that name belongs to I guess she's a 20th century saint called Saint Therese, and she was also called the Little Flower. Saint Therese of Lisieux was her name. She was an amazing young woman from an amazing family in Alençon, France. Her parents, both of them had discerned a religious life before they met each other and fell in love. And they had 5 daughters. Therese was the youngest of the 5. I don't know all of their names, but they were all girls, and every one of them went into the Carmelite life and left Therese alone with her parents. And she desperately wanted to become one of them. She wanted to be with her sisters, but she also wanted to lead that very stoic life. And so she actually made her way to Rome to talk to the Pope to give her a dispensation so that she could join the convent. And he gave her some restrictions, some things she had to fulfill because she was only 15 at the time. And she did those things, and she entered the convent soon after that and didn't have an easy life. She was actually very enamored of the theater, and she was putting on plays as a novice in the convent. And some of the older sisters didn't like her too much, so she had a lot to deal with, but she ended up being beloved by everyone and dying from tuberculosis at the age of 24. So now how this happened, I don't know, because she wasn't lettered. She didn't have a university education, but she was actually named a doctor of the church because of the reach of her writings and just of the love that she showed to everyone. So I was always intrigued by her. I'm actually a third order Carmelite myself, which means it's a lay order. And so I was looking up pictures. Well, I've always seen pictures of little Therese as a child. Her father was a jeweler. They weren't really wealthy, but they were well off. And she would be photographed. Her father adored her. And she would be photographed often in a beautiful little dress from that time period. And anyway, so that was when you asked me to do something special for you. I thought of her right away. So this is, of course there's artistic license always involved. Her hair was never quite this blonde, but she was always associated with flowers. And so I collaborated with Ruby Ho of, most of you will know her as
Ruby Red Galleria.
Yeah. We've been working with them. They've been making our dolls for a very long time now. And we have a wonderful relationship with them, very almost familial. And so I sent Ruby the sketches, and she came up with let her know what kind of fabric. It had to be cotton, had to be a small print, everything had to be in keeping with the time. And she came up with this from my sketches. And the only thing was with the counter sample, now this is just a little inside baseball, the flowers that they put with the counter sample that was sent to me for approval they were subpar. So I got into my stash and I found these, which of course were also made in Hong Kong. But they were so much more realistic and complimentary to this little girl. So I sent those back.
Oh, wow.
And they found them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And yes, so a little pushback from the designer always helps.
Well, that's your job.
That is, and they are so accommodating, and they really try to please me, and I'm sure everyone that they work with. So
they're amazing.
They are amazing, yes.
They understand the assignment every single time.
Yes.
And truly, as far as manufacturing, some of the very best I've ever seen, ever.
Yes.
It's just beyond.
Well,
and they're very humble too.
Do you know the backstory?
Yes.
Ruby's backstory about the
The wigs.
The wigs.
She was
yes.
making wigs for
Yes.
American girls. Well, she was making human wigs
human wigs for people,
for people.
and they still do that, and they sell them all over the world.
Yeah.
So, but her own love of dolls made her approach me even before she could really speak English very well. She was learning, and she's gotten very, very good. But when we first met, how long ago was that? Must have been, I don't know, 25, 30 years ago.
At least, yeah.
We met in Nuremberg. At any rate, she's been doing dolls for us for that long, maybe even longer. My memory's not too good.
What a blessing.
Yes.
Your collaboration has been, and they make such incredible things. And the undergarments on this doll, which we didn't really
so
get to
cute. Yeah.
show, but she's wearing such an extraordinary corset underneath
Yes.
here. We'll
Yes.
add the photos that the workmanship on it it makes you blow a gasket when you see it sometimes. You're just like, ah, it's so good. And so what a pleasure. I'm sure it has been working with them over the years.
Been. Yeah. Like I said, they've become like family, our family on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Tomas, who's here watching, he's gone there many times and been to the factory, and you've
Yes.
even attended weddings and all kinds of things with them. So yeah, what a blessing that's been. But this doll, as soon as we released her in December, a lot of people purchased her. They were very, very drawn to her in a lot of ways. And I know my mom would have loved her, but my mom was a Catholic, and she prayed the rosary, and she loved going to church. And I know that she would have just loved this doll. But I shared a little bit about this, but I wanted to share this rosary that our friend Brenda made for us, because you two had a conversation when you were here in October, and Brenda needed this doll during a rough time of her life, and she got this doll, and this doll helped her through that. And when she was on the other side, she made the first rosary she's ever made.
Beautiful.
After going to the craft store, she said many times, and she put a little flower
right
in there. And this was her gift to us, which we keep with the doll, and I just think that's so very special.
It is just beautiful. First rosary.
First one.
And I've made them. I know they're not that easy to make. So bravo, Brenda. You did a beautiful job.
She did. She's watching right now, and she just did a wonderful job. But speaking of wonderful job, I wanted to chat about some of the things that you've been up to. And the first thing is, Helen walked in with these gorgeous flowers. Now, I have a hunch that maybe, did you put this together?
I did, yes.
This is stunning.
Thank you.
We just did a video where Helen chatted a little bit about what she's been up to, what she's doing with UFDC, and I got some insider information that you've been doing some flower arranging.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it was a complete surprise to me. My daughter is a flower designer. She's not working at that right now, but I thought, okay, that's my daughter's thing. I'm not touching it. I'm not going near it. But then I became the president of a women's organization at my church, and our job is to take care of flowers and clean the altar. So one year after I took the office, we got a new pastor, a British man, wonderful man. And he came in August, and one of the first orders of business for him was to get in touch with the president of the Altar and Rosary Society and ask me and show me, have the secretary send me pictures of what he wanted for Easter the following spring.
Oh, wow. That's preparation.
It was clearly very important to him.
Yeah.
And I took a look at those, got them in an email, and I said to my husband, how are we going to do this? These were done by professionals. Oh, by the way, they were taken this was Westminster Cathedral. Westminster Cathedral.
Yeah.
And then for the next 6 months or so, I was very anxiety ridden. I didn't know how did they get that shape? They were all round, and they were huge, but they were round. How did they do that? So I took a lot of YouTube classes or watched a lot of YouTube videos and figured it out, did some trials, and brought all my ladies in that do flowers, and we worked on it together. And I think we got it right the first time.
Oh, I'm sure you did.
But our pastor set a really high bar, and if it weren't for him, we would still be just putting flowers in a vase and calling it good.
So his tall order did push you
Yes. Yes.
to hone in your craft, because to be
Yes.
able to arrange flowers like this is such an art form. I am not surprised at all.
It's like sculpting with
Yeah.
live material. And you know what's so beautiful is the flowers almost tell you what they want to do. To me, that's what I tell everybody that I talk to about this, especially the new women that come in and want to help with the flowers, but they're intimidated. I say, look, I never did this before either. You can do it.
Yeah.
And so you're provided with the most beautiful variety of shapes and colors. You know, what can go wrong? As long as you know how to handle the basics, getting them prepped and things. It's just a beautiful thing to be able to do.
I love that. And a lot of your dolls, you use the use of flowers. Look at this sweet girl right here.
Right. Vintage girl. I think she's probably 30 or more years old, and dressed by Rosemary Yonker.
Oh, she does great things.
Yes, she does. And she uses, of course, flowers in her embroidery a great deal. So, yeah, flowers are part of, well, they're just part of the beauty of our world, and
Yeah, they are.
they're very important.
They are
They
very
make people
important.
happy. Let's face it.
You know,
Flowers
sending
make
and
people
receiving
happy.
flowers and just seeing them and going to gardens.
Yes.
It will never go out of style. It's hope. It's
Right.
It's life. It's
Yes.
just a beautiful thing to see when you just even I like dandelions even, because they're a weed, but they're still a fun flower. Like Holland gets so much entertainment out of picking a flower and bringing it to her mom, and it's just so much fun.
That's beautiful.
But so I love that. But Helen, you alluded in your video for UFDC that a couple people had thought you retired, but that is simply not true.
No.
So you are doing your flower arranging, you're very involved in your church. What are you doing with dolls?
I'm doing dolls for special events like yours.
Yeah.
And I'm doing some special editions, you know, not very often, but for shops, because there aren't very many shops left.
Right.
But we are still involved in UFDC. So we've
Absolutely.
been doing an event almost every year.
Helen was the souvenir artist for UFDC last year. So if anyone thought she retired, it's like she was the souvenir artist last year. So that's a pretty high bar to be. That I'm sure kept you very, very busy. So you're
Yes.
far from retiring. That's
Not retired.
No, you're
Not
balancing.
retired, and I don't see retirement for myself.
Yeah.
And my husband and I, neither one are retiring. We're learning new things all the time, because I've gotten involved in the different kinds of sculpting now too, where I'm, as Thomas likes to say, you're always pushing the envelope. You know, when I hand him something to make a mold from, I really challenge him a lot. I think he would agree. But he's good. He's an excellent mold maker, and we're learning lots of new things
Yeah.
in our old age.
Well, and also with your job too, what you have done, which I know has been just such a privilege in your life, is that you have made a career out of something that you love to do,
Yes, that's
which
true.
is creating an art and the dolls, and you
I've been
do
very
sculptures.
fortunate. Yes.
And so when you wake up in the morning and your job is something you actually enjoy, it's like, oh, isn't that just so fun?
Oh,
Some days it's hard.
you know, there's always aspects,
Yeah.
even if it's something that you love, there are always aspects that
Yeah.
you'd rather pass off to
frustrating.
somebody else,
Yeah.
or it's a little frustrating. But, you know, how lucky are we? I know it's
Yeah.
the same for you. How lucky are we to be able to do what we love?
Yeah. And as an artist, I can imagine that feeling never gets old of seeing something that you created in somebody's home.
Oh, no. It's very humbling, and I'm very honored by it.
Yeah, yeah, that feels really good. So it's been really fun chatting about your career and how you have loved what you have done over the seasons. And I know, speaking of seasons, you've had times where you were doing one thing more than the other. But I'd like to talk about your range of mediums,
Okay.
from vinyl to bronze to clay, and even flowers maybe. But what draws you to each, and which one over the arc of your career has been one of your favorite ones to work with?
It was called Polyform. Everybody knows what Sculpey is, right? Well, Polyform was the precursor to Sculpey, so that's what I began with. And I always loved dolls, so I was making dolls for gifts for family and that kind of thing. This is when I was quite young. And it was a problematic material because it got sticky. You had to bake it in your oven. There are probably some issues there too, but after I painted it, it got sticky. So Thomas called those my sticky dolls. Well, as time goes on, materials advance, But before I ever touched Sculpey, I thought, I need to make my dolls in porcelain. Porcelain was the Cadillac of all materials for doll makers. So, and that, I still love porcelain. However, there is resin that can look just like porcelain, and vinyl can look very much like porcelain. And for some people, vinyl is, they can't have porcelain because they live in an earthquake area, or they have small children, or whatever it is. So vinyl's a better fit. But I do very much like resin and working with resin. Some of my favorite dolls have been fully jointed dolls in resin. So I've really enjoyed that. But I really just love all materials. It was great working with bronze as well, but the interim working of that with the brown wax, don't like that so much. It's back to that word sticky, it's a sticky wax. And so it's really a whole different thing, a whole different type of wax to work with than what we work with when we're doing porcelain or vinyl or resin.
I love hearing that.
And of course I love working directly in earth clay, but I don't get the chance to do that too much. And the problem with that is that when you finish a piece and you just love it and you've got it hollowed out so that it's not going to blow up in the kiln, and put it on anyway, you put it in the kiln, it blows up anyway.
That's the worst, isn't it?
So it just comes with the territory.
It's the hazards of the job.
That's right.
My husband being a potter, he has the same thing, and he has to prepare his students for that.
Yes.
Where it's the clay, no matter what you do, sometimes it just fails. It just blows up, it melts, whatever it cracks.
I figure anytime that's happened, it's been my mistake. Because I am not like your husband, a professional working with clay.
Oh, it happens to him all the time, though.
Does it?
Oh, yeah. Wow. And he's been doing this.
Okay.
He found it in freshman year of high school, and now he's 40, and he's been doing it the whole time. It still happens.
Yeah.
Even with pieces that he's just trying so hard.
Well, I'm sorry.
They'll be cracked.
I'm sorry that
it's the hazards of the job when you're working with clay.
Yeah, I guess it is. I guess it is.
So can you walk us through the creative process behind one of your most iconic pieces, such as Riley? What was the creative process behind her or any of your other most special pieces, and what did that experience mean to you?
Wow. You know, with Riley, she was really a special experience because my friendship with Robert Tonner was what helped her take off. And he said to me, I've given him advice in the beginning, a little advice, because I got to the vinyl manufacturing process just a little before he did. And when he would ask me a question, I'd share whatever I knew with him. But then after he got up to speed and then raced past me, and so I got a lot of advice from him along the way. And one of the things he said to me is, I'll bet you have 100 heads in your studio. Why don't you just pick one? And so I did that with Riley. I just kind of went,
oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh, there's a sweet little head. I'm going to use that.
And
then Riley came about, and then she was introduced at a UFDC conference. Don't ask me which one. It's a long time ago. And he came over and looked at her, and he said, "May I?" And he walked around with her. And then before you know it, we had tons of people at our booth. It was just very, very generous. Very good-hearted of him.
Oh, I love that.
So.
Robert speaks kindly about you all the time, every time. Part of the reason why he loves coming to Denver is because he gets to see you and Tomas, and you guys get to go to dinner, and that's so much fun. And he's been one of your buddies throughout your career. I know that. Who else has been a buddy throughout your career that's been a good confidant and friend?
Wow, golly. Well, some of them are gone now. Martha Armstrong Hand was a mentor, and she was someone who could say a few words to me and make my work turn in a good way, right on those few words. A consummate artist, and she's been gone for a long time now. But I have to say that my best influences in the doll world have been the shops that we've dealt with. Mm-hmm. You are right at the top of that list. And our collectors.
Yeah.
And I am still friends with, very, very good friends with some of my collectors. Two of them I've lost in the last few years.
Yeah.
One of the hazards of getting to be my age.
It's hard to lose collectors.
It's hard to lose friends.
It's hard to lose friends, but our collectors, when I say that, they are our friends.
Yes.
I was just in the grocery store yesterday, and I just randomly thought of a collector that passed that lives in Australia that you just used to email me all the time about this and that. And now she, and just her presence is gone, and it does leave little holes. So the
does.
collectors, you mean a lot to us.
Yeah.
You mean a lot to the artists
It's true.
to have you in our lives and in our
It's true.
in our worlds. Yeah, it's hard to think about that, but you've had an incredible career that you're still going and spanning over 40 years. What has been one of the biggest challenges that you have faced?
Well, I think I have to say it was doing the designs for the Girls of Many Lands for the Pleasant Company.
Oh, those were some of your most popular dolls.
Yes, they did very well for a while. I think we did 7 different sculpts. We did the entire body sculpt, and this may be outdated information, but at the time that we were chosen to do them, there were a number of artists vying for the job. And so I pursued it like I was going for a doctorate. I did my homework, I did comparisons of ethnic groups because some of them were going to be from various ethnic groups. I did comparisons of how many heads to a model versus a regular person versus a child versus... It's work I'm proud of, and they did give me the job. And at the time, I was the only outside artist outside of the company who was given the task to design to sculpt the entire doll from head to toe.
Wow.
Which I did, and then because it was a company that was owned by Mattel, had been sold to Mattel sometime earlier, they had someone sitting in on all of our meetings representing Barbie. Speaking of Barbie. Because they wanted to make sure that we didn't encroach onto Barbie territory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was interesting.
You definitely didn't encroach.
No, really. It was
Not
a
at all.
totally different concept. But we ended up doing 7 different girls from many lands, and it was just really a joy to work with them. I've worked with a lot of different companies, commercial companies, and they were absolutely the top of the line.
That was going to be my next question. Is you've had a lot of collaborations, you've done a lot of with big brand companies, you've been on television, you were on QVC. I wanted to know which one of the ones stands out to you that was a really good experience, and it was them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, hands down.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a big difference, is when you're working with somebody that just gets it and you can just work together and no problems.
And I have a funny story to tell you that's related. So about 20 years ago, we had a retrospective at UFDC. We'd done the souvenir doll that year. It was in Dallas. And we had this huge room that they gave us for this retrospective. So we loaded up every doll that we had and every one we could borrow from all of the years of doll collecting, including the Girls of Many Lands. And got it all set up, and it was a huge success. It was populated all the time. And one day I was there, and I saw Ruby Ho standing in front of the Girls of Many Lands collection, looking up. No, she's not very tall. And I went over and said, "Hi, Ruby," and she said, I did not know you did these dolls. We dressed them."
Oh my gosh, I love that.
I didn't know they dressed them, but they were beautiful.
They are beautifully dressed. We'll find some pictures of them.
Beautifully boxed, and of course each one of them came
They're
with
so
their
amazing.
own story. So what a lovely concept. It was
How funny.
a great privilege to work on that.
I'm surprised they didn't, I guess because the order came from over here and not over there, and they don't talk with everybody.
I never had anything to do with the clothing on those dolls. The company had their idea of what they wanted. They knew exactly what they wanted. I only was responsible for the sculpting and the face paint.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So then,
They did the hair,
Oh, man.
they did the clothing. And so I was completely out of the loop there. And when I found out it was Ruby, I was just really
they
delighted.
truly are the best. I say
Yeah.
that a lot. We work with 5 different factories to do collectively what we do, but their work is just beyond.
Yeah.
We're doing some historic garments right now, and to be able to master, and you've done many historic garments in your career, to get a bustle right on an 8-inch, 10-inch doll, and to have it fit correctly, that is very hard.
I have in my home something that I asked Thomas to pick up for me when he went to France. I don't know how long ago that was, but Ruby had been given the opportunity to make a corset for a perfume bottle by Lacroix.
Oh,
And the perfume bottle was a woman's shape, and it's this big.
that is just,
And they had offered this project to many different factories, and Ruby was their last stop, their last hope, and she did it perfectly.
I am not surprised.
And then they went on to make a limited edition of them. So I have a bottle of perfume, which is funny because I don't use perfume because I have no sense of smell. And it's in the shape of a woman. It's about this big, and she's got the most beautiful little satin corset, pink satin corset on. I wish I had thought about it. I would have brought it to show you.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. In your career, you've had a lot of wonderful times, a lot of wonderful events. Can you think of one, and I'm putting you on the spot here, that if you could, you would want to just relive because it was just so good?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know it is a tough one because there's been a lot of wonderful UFDC events,
Yeah.
visits with toy shops, and
Right.
you can
Well,
think.
They have been wonderful, and we've been very, very beautifully treated, like kings and queens, wherever we've gone. But I have to say that probably if I could do anything over again, it might be to have one more of our own conventions.
Oh yes, the last one at the Oxford Hotel.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was one of the last ones.
They were all at the Oxford Hotel, or ended up there. We had a big building at that time, and we had most of the events take place in our own building, and we just had a ball.
Yeah.
We just really had a lot of fun. I know you were at our first one, and they got a little smaller after that, but it was just a great deal of fun. And
It is.
really got to be very close to the people that came, and yeah.
It is a great deal of fun, and even when it's a small group, that's okay. Our event in October, we pulled out all the stops. We did everything, and it was a very small group of not even 50 people total, and it couldn't have been better.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, your conventions are wonderful, and doing conventions is a tremendous amount of work. But
Oh,
at the end,
yes.
they're very fulfilling.
It is a tremendous amount of work, that's for sure, but very, very rewarding.
Very rewarding. So can you tell us a little bit about, because this video is going to come out soon, what is happening at UFDC in July for you?
Well, Thomas tells me we're doing a dinner event, and the theme of the convention is jazz.
All that jazz, right?
Dolls and all that jazz.
Dolls and all that jazz.
Dolls and all that jazz. So I had a little idea. I had a little sketch going on, and it was something that I was actually planning to do last year but didn't get around to it. But I still wanted to do it very much. So I had to do some mental gymnastics to get it to fit into the theme of dolls and all that jazz. But it did have a musical component, so I can say that.
Oh.
And where the idea sprang from. And so I'm going to save where I got the idea from until the event, but I can tell everybody that it is a 12-inch doll from our chrysalis collection, which is basically the same body and same size as our little flower here.
Which is a great size.
Yeah. Did we mention
big
that
doll.
this is a new head sculpt?
I don't know if we did, but I mentioned it a lot when we released her. It's a brand new head sculpt. Helen actually emailed me because you were so excited to do her. At the point you had emailed me, you had already started the sculpt.
Yeah.
Which
right.
was so exciting.
Yeah. Anyway, she's going to be that same size, not that head, but who she is in her name. And I can tell you what her name is. Her name is Maple Hill number 9.
Maple Hill number 9.
So go ahead and guess.
And she's very limited.
Very limited, yes.
So the packets have not been mailed out yet, but they will be soon. And if you want to attend Helen's event, get your registration in right away.
Right.
Yeah. I wanted to show you one doll from my mom's collection real quick, because I don't know if you remember her or not, but this was one of my mom's favorite dolls. And I thought you'd appreciate seeing her because of what you did last year for UFDC with the Miss Unity.
Right.
And this is one of the largest top knots that I have ever seen. Isn't that neat?
Oh, it's just lovely. Is the body leather?
She's underneath, I believe it's, let's see, thought she was, oh yeah, yep, she's a leather body.
She's a leather body. Beautiful, on a shoulder plate.
On a shoulder plate with wooden arms, and then her paper mache head.
Well, I can see why she was one of Diane's favorites.
Definitely one of her favorites, but I had to show her to you because you did the Miss Unity doll for UFDC and with the same hairstyle.
Exactly.
Comment in the comments as you watch this if you have that doll from Helen that was the souvenir doll last year. So isn't it just fun to blend the old with the new and to bring history together with the present?
It's like a thread running through
Yeah.
a beautiful tapestry.
Yep. And doll collectors appreciate that. They love
yes,
historical pieces, and they love to collect new things that have historical references, and you know that more than anyone.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
well, this was so fun. We are here in Denver, Colorado with Helen Kish and Tomas Kish, who is sitting behind. And thank you for chatting with us today.
It's
This
been
was
my
really
pleasure.
wonderful. In the comments, we have the Helen Kish's website if you'd like to see what she's been up to, and then the Virtual Doll Convention website as well, where we have the little flower is available on both websites. And Helen will be doing some more updates here in the future too with other pieces and dolls that she's going to have available, and updates on her career. So thank you so much, Helen Kish.
Thank you, Rachel.
Bye.
Bye.